This is the Rumors Are True podcast, brought to you by Pantheon Media Network.
Hey there, this is Brandon Mullins from Across 5 Aprils and Embraced, and you're listening to the Rumors Are True podcast.
Welcome, this is Jeremy Allen Gould, and I'm coming to you today to confirm between God and of man that the rumors you have all heard are true. I started this podcast to have a platform for the bands and artists that I've worked with in the past, as well as new musicians and artists that influenced myself and many others. The Rumors Are True podcast is an opportunity for the artists to tell their story their way. I'm still in the business of confirming rumors. I still love a good conversation, and I still freaking love music. So thanks again for joining me on this journey, and I hope you like what you hear. With that said, the rumors are definitely true. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to this latest episode of the Rumors Are True podcast. My name is Jeremy, and today I welcome Justin Jones. You know Justin from the band Idle Threat. Awesome conversation with Justin. Super honored to have him on the podcast to bring me through his journey through music, as well as his time with the band Idle Threat. So I hope you enjoy this latest episode with Justin Jones. Justin, what is up, my friend? Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me and putting up with me. So
I don't mind. It's not a big deal. I'm really looking forward to talking to you. I know we've been kind of texting back and forth for a while to try to lock this down. Really stoked to hear your story and your journey and, just kind of what you got going on in your life. Speaking of, what's new in your world, man? Tell me what's new in Justin's world.
Man, I'm a simple guy. So I just pretty much work and hang out. But in terms of just new things, like my lady and I just moved to a new house in Nashville.
Oh, nice.
And so we've been getting settled in and stuff. But I don't know, like the new Lego Batman game just came out. So I've been playing a lot of that. So kind of getting back to my roots, being a little gamer boy. But yeah. I've been watching a bunch of Batman movies. Like I took a break from I'm a big horror nerd. I don't know if you can tell from all the stuff behind me, but so I've taken a little step back from being a little horror cinephile to watching a bunch of Batman movies and stuff.
Heck yeah.
Getting prepped for the game, but that's it, man. Like I said, I'm a simple dude, so
that's cool, man.
It's easy.
What's your favorite Batman movie that's been done, and what's your favorite horror movie of all time?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So just to get this out of the way, I say this on like every podcast that I've been on, but best and favorite are two very different things.
Different. Yes.
So I think the best Batman movie is The Dark Knight in the Christopher Nolan trilogy. Good. But my favorite Batman movie, actually, sorry, I got these backwards. So the best Batman movie is actually the Lego Batman movie.
Oh.
And then my favorite is The Dark Knight from the Christopher Nolan trilogy. So,
yes.
But I mean, those can flip-flop too.
I need to see the Lego one. I heard it's good.
It's amazing. It's really funny. I mean, like if you're into Legos and stuff, obviously that's fun. But I don't know. Like I love making that argument.
I get that, man.
Yeah. And then when it comes to like horror movies, like my favorite movie ever is The Shining.
Great movie.
Like if you've seen my drum set and stuff before, it's the pattern from the carpet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I've got a couple Shining tattoos. Like it's the whole 9 yards. Like I'm a big Stephen King fan.
He's great.
Again, if you can see behind me, like that bookshelf is literally all like Stephen King books and stuff. So,
and the Bible's up there too, right?
It sure is. I got a couple different translations, different languages, and then, dude, like it's so funny if you see my office, that you open a can of worms. If you see my office, like the first couple shelves are like all these like horror like books, and then like classic literature and stuff, and then I have like religious texts, and then like just I don't know, like commentary and like complimentary like books and all that, like any sort of like apologetics and all. I am a big nerd. Like I read a lot. I read a lot. Like I don't know. I'm an open book too, so like this could go into so many. No, I get
it, man. That's cool though. You're well rounded. That I mean, you go from one end of the spectrum to the other. So I totally get it. Let's talk about growing up for you. You just mentioned obviously video games and Batman and movies and whatnot. But let me ask you the records kind of that stood out, ones that you kind of connected to early on, and maybe some of your favorites over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of getting just quickly in my backgrounds, like my like I'm a preacher's kid, which
Same
is
here,
just
buddy.
so. Oh, dude, awesome. Fellow PJ.
Yes.
So that's pretty stereotypical, right?
Yes.
But I did the my dad played drums and stuff growing up, so that's really where I kind of inherited that taste from. But I remember just listening to music with him and stuff like it. He loves like Rush and like like classic rock. And I do too. Like the first record I really remember listening to a lot was like Rush's Moving Pictures. And then I don't know, like my dad's a big Kiss fan. So I've always loved Kiss. I know they're not like the greatest band ever, but like they're iconic for a reason, know?
Sure.
So like I have a Peter Criss tattoo,
No way.
Yeah, it's something like that. But I mean, like I fell in love early with like those types of bands, and then I'm kind of traveling with the youth group and stuff like that. We went to all these like events, and I remember there was one time where me and my mom kind of went off from everybody else, and I ended up buying a copy of August Burns Red's Thrill Seeker had just come out. And it had a skull on it. It looked really cool. So I with my own cash that I had from like allowance or whatever, I bought it, and then like an As I Lay Dying record, and like, just was trying it all,
Sure.
And I just fell in love with that type of music. And then growing up in like the Nashville scene, we had like A Plea for Purging there, and like 100th and Gideon were at home all the time. So it's just, I got wrapped up in like that scene, and like, Scream the Prayer was still a thing, so I was still going to that every year, and like even like the quote unquote secular music and stuff too. I did all of that. Like I was a young buck just kind of running around going to shows, and probably was chronically online, and just finding random bands on like like Pure Volume and like MySpace and all that.
Sure.
So, yeah, if it was heavy, I listened to it. Or if it was, or honestly, the other side of that spectrum, like if it was like emotional and like whiny, I loved it too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I consumed a lot of different types of music, and I don't know, like overall, you'll see kind of where all of this will like bleed into our music and stuff. But,
Sure. Sure.
Like last main point. Sorry for being long winded.
No,
like
you're good.
my favorite band ever is actually Jimmy Eat World.
Great band.
Yeah, they're the best, man. They don't miss it all. They don't have a bad record. They're amazing live. And truthfully, like I feel like you can hear and you know, some people have said this now, so I'm freely sharing it, is like you can hear Zach Lynn's drumming influence on me. And I wasn't necessarily influenced by Jimmy Eat World, I was reluctant to admit that, but they are my favorite band, so you can hear it. They influenced me,
Absolutely.
You know? But yeah, and I'm not sure we'll talk more about influences and stuff down the you know, that's kind of the quick overview.
I love Zach. He's incredible. In fact, I was on the Black Sheep podcast where we did like this emo super group, and he was my drummer because I think he's such a good drummer.
I remember that. Okay, yeah, you said that, and I was like, oh my god, yeah.
He's just a backbone for sure. Like he's just one of those dudes who just he doesn't look like he's trying. You know, he just goes out and does it. You know. Hey, this is Jeremy with the Rumors Are True podcast. We'll pause for a word from our sponsors. Stick around. You don't want to miss what's next. You mentioned obviously being a PK and you mentioned a lot of the Christian bands, but was secular music looked down on, or was that something you had to kind of hide?
No, not really. Like I don't know. It's the easy thing where it's like, hey, I'm going to this show. My parents like, who's playing? It's like, you know, here's this, and this. It's like they're all Christian bands, you know, and it wasn't like my parents cared for sure, but it wasn't like they weren't too worried about you know me going to see Whitechapel at Rocket Town in Nashville on a Friday night, you know, like. But if I wore a shirt that you know had like a bleeding hooker on it or something that said the F word on the back, they would probably be like, "Hey, you got to get rid of that," you know. I mean, no, like and personally, like I don't look down on any of that kind of stuff.
Sure, same here.
I mean, you know, my favorite band in the world is a quote unquote secular band. And like, you know, the handful of favorite bands that I have, there are a few of them that are Christian, but like, I don't really shy away from the music that I like. You know, if I like your music, cool. If I don't like your message, it might change some things, but like, you know,
you're open. Yeah.
I try to be pretty open about everything.
Absolutely. As you should be, man. Same here. I'm all about it. I just know, you know, being a PK for me, it was like, you know, you had to kind of sneak stuff, at least on my part. And that was also, you know, in the 90s when it was a little more, you know, or like you could hide it in a tape case or a CD case or something like that. So that's awesome though. I love that. And a lot of those bands you mentioned are great, fantastic bands as well. Okay, let's talk about, you kind of mentioned your dad being a drummer, and you obviously wound up being a drummer. Kind of bring me through you discovering you could play the drums, and kind of what led into maybe Idle Threat. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Cool. So you know, my biggest influences, like by far, would be David Kennedy from The Chariot, and then like Zach Farrow from Paramore, Andy Hurley from Fall Out Boy, and then of course like Aaron Gillespie, Daniel Davison. You know, I mean, these are the guys that like I looked up to, and you know, I'm pretty like unorthodox when it comes to, you know, playing. I always say I'm a dumb punk kid, you know, but like, I don't know, like my parents got me my first drum set when I was in like 5th grade. And, you know, I just like, you know, played around on stuff. I would like play the songs like in my earphones and just try to learn by like the feel of everything. And, I don't know, kind of fell in love that way. And like, I didn't really do like band and stuff in school. I did shortly. I actually got kicked out of our band, in That's a whole thing. Like our band director really didn't like me and a couple of the other guys. And one day she was like, "Yeah, you're just not in this class anymore." And I was like, "All right, whatever." Um, I mean, there's a little bit more of a story behind that, but I
Sure.
got kicked out of bands. And then just, I played around on a drum set for a little bit, just kind of at home. And I wish I had formal teaching. I didn't. But I guess better late than never. I probably should make a couple phone calls. Uh, but um, I played around with Zeke. I met with my bandmate Zeke we went to middle school and high school together.
Oh, cool.
And we hit it off in like drama and Spanish class. And he and I ran around together a lot back in those days. And, we just kind of got together with like his brother and I, and like we would just play like Fall Out Boy covers in my parents' basement, and like we kind of wrote music together. I would love to try to drum some of that up. I still haven't found any, but like we would like get on GarageBand and like try to make little pop punk songs and stuff.
That's awesome.
And nothing really ever fleshed out from that. Like they were a little older than me. They went off to like college, and shortly into their tenure, like Zeke and our bandmate Ernie, they went to church together. And they were in like a joke band called the Fecal Matters. Like just they were planning on playing a show or something like that, and I think it fell through or something. But basically, they were just like, "Hey, let's like try to write music together." And Ernie was like, "Yeah, I want to do this. Like, try to make music like for real." And he was like, "Yeah, I know I know a guy. Like I've been playing with him. We went to high school together and stuff." And then next thing you know, like we're in my parents' basement, like trying to fumble through writing some songs and stuff. And that's how Idle Threat was born, and that was over 11 years ago.
Wow,
at this
that's
point.
wild to think that.
So crazy.
Yeah.
Like Zeke sent me a photo in our text thread the other day that was just like, "Can you believe this was 10 years ago?" And it was like one of the earlier tours we had gone on, like a picture of us by the van or something. And like, I remember doing stuff like that at the time, and I was like, "This is so corny," and like, but it's fun. You're excited to like get on the road and play shows. And then now I look back at that, I'm like, I'm really glad we took the time to take like one of those cliche band. So like the next run that we go on, I'm gonna be like, "Guys, let's get a picture by the van." Like why not?
That's awesome. That's cool. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that was pretty much the inception of our band. We just got together and the wheels hit the road.
Where'd the band name come from? And obviously you kind of mentioned some of the influences. What was the direction of the band initially, and were you guys kind of just aiming all at the same way? I guess kind of just bring me through the direction of the band and the band name.
Yeah, so what's funny is the band name, we like could not decide on anything. And at the time we weren't really like we joked earlier, like I'm just going to say we didn't know what we were doing like a million times. So we didn't know what we were doing. And we wanted to be called Bad Son, like Badson. Okay. And there was a band called the Bad Sons. So we were like, it's too close. Like, we don't really want to play around with that, So the title of our first EP was called Bad Son. And you actually shouldn't be able to find it now. You might be able to find like one or two songs or some live clips or something on the internet. So for those of you listening, good luck. But we shied away from Bad Son, and I don't really remember how it happened, but I think Ernie proposed, like, what about like Idle Threat? We were just like, we have a show coming up. We just have to like pick a name, So we picked Idle Threat. We stuck with it. And, I don't really know if I would change it now. It's fine. We don't have like the greatest band name in the world, but it's not the worst, So
yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't really have a cool story to, share that, but it just kind of is what it is at this point.
No, I get that, man. It's cool. I think it fits you guys, honestly.
Yeah. And we joke about that now. It's like, we feel like maybe we're not the best at marketing. Maybe we like don't put ourselves out there enough. Like, blah, blah, blah. But like, we feel like we're just a very idle threat to where if you check out our music, you probably will like it for something,
Yeah, absolutely.
And kind of circling back into what you asked, it's like genre wise, we all love a bunch of different music. And I'm going to say a cliche thing. It's like, we kind of just do what we want. Like, we didn't really have a goal in mind. We just knew that we wanted to play just stuff that we liked. So like we played some pop punky stuff. We played breakdowns. We screamed. We sang. We did slow songs. We did fast songs. We literally just kind of did what we want, And I think that also kind of bleeds through with like our message and stuff too, and just how we carry ourselves like on and off stage, like on the tape, like in our personal lives, whatever. Like that's just, we do what we want. We're just simple dudes. We're gonna try out some things that we like, and we hope that it connects with other people too.
Absolutely, man.
It's been that way since day one. Like, and it's a little more cohesive now. We kind of found our sound. But early on it was like we had some like more post-hardcore songs, and then some pop punky stuff, and now it's kind of both. So it's
yeah.
We never really picked a lane. We're all over the place.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, and you obviously all the guys in the band, including yourself, have a wide variety of music you like, and it all kind of bleeds out, like you said, which is really cool because not to fast forward, but in the new record, it's you can hear so many different influences. And we'll get to that record here in a little bit. But you mentioned the Bad Son EP, which is very difficult and obviously sounds like not your finest hour, but you were finding yourself. You guys were, kind of learning, the ropes of recording, I assume. Kind of bring me through the Grown Tired EP, your next step. This is, you finally actually do an EP, and kind of bring me through recording that and what that was like for you guys.
So, and I'll kind of like lump them together, but like in the EPs era, we were literally just figuring it out. We were growing up a lot. Like, most all of us were in our like early to mid 20s at the time. We just wanted to do it, like we wanted to put music out and play as many shows as possible, and just, all gas, no brakes. So Grown Tired especially is when we were like I don't want to say like the golden era of like our work ethic, but like we were like putting the pen to paper and like ripping gigs, and just no one was a stranger, so like we were kind of all firing on all cylinders. But at that age, like that's what we had going on. I mean, like we all went to school and had jobs and stuff, but it just, we wanted to be out on the road and like trying to do it. So Grown Tired was special. We recorded, with a friend named Matt, here in Nashville, at like his house studio. And then, had another friend named Tate, like he mastered it. And then like in between those EPs, we tried to do like a standalone single called Empty House. We recorded with our friend Matt again, and then Keach actually mixed and mastered it. And I apologize to my bandmates if y'all listened to this back and I got any of that information wrong, but this is off the old noggin. But that kind of helped bridge the gap. We were trying to like label shop at the time. We were still playing a lot of shows. Like we started picking up like some fest spots and stuff like that. Like we were definitely kind of growing. And our whole mantra is like, as long as we're taking a step forward, like, we're going to continue to like try to see how much we can push this. Sure. So we're growing. And then, it comes to the, like, the Nothing is Broken for Good era. And then, recorded with our friend Matt again. And then, kind of speeding up a little bit, like we were still kind of label shopping at the time. And it got to a point where it was just like, I don't want to say like a crossroads, but it was just like, all right, like let's make a list of labels and just see, and of all of the labels that we like sent our stuff to, Tooth and Nail was actually the only one that got back.
What?
Everyone else just straight up either ignored or rejected us. So started talking with Tooth and Nail, and then I'll give a fun story. So then some time goes on. We were we were opening a show for Norma Jean and Gideon and the Devil Wears Prada in Nashville, and three of my favorite bands ever. The Devil Wears Prada is actually my second favorite band ever.
Wow, good dudes.
Yeah, Norma Jean's probably a very close third.
Sure,
but very special show. Like when the promoter told me, I teared up a little bit. But we're opening the show, and I go backstage. We're like loading out and stuff, and their current bass player, Clay, we were actually friends with already. And I was like, dude, Clay, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, I'm in Norma Jean now. It's crazy. But Corey was sitting backstage, like on his phone. And I remember it was the first time I had ever met him. And like, he's like, a personal hero of mine. He's written so much music that I love, and he was just like, hey man, like, nice to meet you. And I'm like, hey, I'm Justin, and we kind of exchanged pleasantries. And to expedite the story, basically he was like, so are you guys like, looking at labels and like all this stuff? And we had actually just started talking to Tooth, getting our contract like worked out and stuff. And part of me thinks that he knew something. I don't know, but like He was just like, so are you guys signing somewhere? And I was like, yeah, like, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, so what's that look like? And I kind of was being like a little shady about it. And he was just like, oh, like who you signing with? And I was like, like Tooth and Nail, like Solid State. And he was just like, yeah, I know those people, and I'm like, yeah, I know that, and I was like trying to be like so nonchalant about it. And he was just like, I talk to them, all the time, and it was just so funny, especially looking back at that now. It's just, Corey's a friend. So it's just, it's so funny. Like,
absolutely.
And that was in the AT days. So it's like, once we got past that and then ended up doing our full length, like Corey he did a guest spot on Driftwood on that record.
Oh,
so
rad.
It's like, it's
very
a
cool.
big full circle moment.
So Tooth and Nail, obviously, you said it was the only one that reached out. What was that like, getting picked up by Tooth and Nail? And obviously did they just kind of release the EP essentially that you had already recorded? Is that kind of what happened? Yeah,
they did. In hindsight, I wish we had re-recorded it. There was just a lot, with that I think a lot of us would love to like put to bed and stuff, but they just kind of, I don't know what the right terminology would be, but they just kind of bought it out and like put it out,
licensed it. Yeah.
So yeah, and we played a bunch of shows on it and stuff, and I don't know, we were excited to kind of be on a label and kind of see what that's like, and just kind of, like I said earlier, like take a next step in our career, and just to kind of see what doors would open and stuff.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that happened. And then, we kind of got like, the stuff lined up to do, our first full length. We just kind of had to have a lot of faith. Yeah. So moving into the Blurred Vision stuff, like, there was a lot of COVID mess that happened during a lot of that. So that was a lot of fun to navigate. But Tooth and Nail put us in a studio with Brett Romness up in the New Jersey area.
Oh, cool.
We went recorded at Barbershop Studios out there, and that was one of the best months of my life. Like it recording that record, like, was such a pivotal moment for, I think, all of us, honestly. Like we were excited to get out there and do our first big record, but also like in our personal lives, like all of us were in, a lot of different positions, I was, I had worked at an elementary school for about 8 years, and I took this opportunity to leave. So I was like, yeah, I'm done, like, teaching and stuff. I'm going to go do this record, and when I come back, I'm gonna like do something else. I'm gonna like bartend or work at a warehouse, and I did all this other stuff while working on school. But while we were away doing that record, it was just like so big and challenging for all of us.
Sure.
And I mean, like musically, it was nice to get in with like a guy that like fully hands-on produced the record too. That was our first time ever really having that instead of just like an engineer. So there was a lot of learning in that. And just from my perspective, like, Brett also plays drums and I'm the Avalanche and a couple other bands.
Yeah.
So he gave me like a lot of pointers, was very hands-on with me, very patient. And I wouldn't trade that time for anything else. Like, and I mean, every recording process is very different.
Sure.
But that one was just very special. And all of us still look back at that time and we're like, man, like it was worth it, know?
Totally. What was it like hearing that record when it was completed, when it was finally mixed and mastered and you popped it in your car or in the mains? Where like what was that like?
So it was weird because like being the drummer, like you kind of knock your stuff out first. So we took like a week, I think, and just did all the drums. We did like scratch tracks and then knocked the drums out. And then I was just kind of hanging out the rest of the time. So there were days where I would just be like, hey, I'm going to walk to like a deli or something. And I just didn't do anything with like the music stuff. But there were days where like we would sit like together, like in the studio and just kind of go over like, trying different things here and there. But like, I don't speak guitar. So like a lot of times like it was kind of awkward, but like the process for this one was really like kind of laid back. And we wrote a lot in the studio.
Oh, okay.
Too.
Yeah. I was going to ask you that.
A lot of like, on the fly stuff that we did, that there's pros and cons to that for sure. But all in all, like it just, I don't know, like it's the end product ended up being something that like I didn't expect. And I don't mean that in like a negative way, but I remember the first time it really hit me was, I was like, I got an email with like our masters in it from Troy Glesner, which like that was a surreal moment for sure. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, I was driving to work. I was bartending at the time, as I mentioned, and I just opened the tracks and like hit play in my car, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like this sounds, a little different than what I had pictured. And at the end of Driftwood on Blurred Visions, like Corey does his guest spot. And I just remember I was like, oh my gosh, this is Corey Brandon. Like we collaborated with like Norma Jean.
That's cool.
And just, flowing through the rest of that record, it was just like, man, this is way better than I had imagined, when we had first started writing these tracks. And I know that every artist says that about probably everything they put out, but there's still like some give and take there too. There's some parts I definitely wish that we had fleshed out a little more. There's some parts on the record that like, I don't particularly love, but I'm very proud of what we had done there. And that moment for sure, when I was driving in my car, I was like, man, this was something cool. Like, but I had wished that like I wish that was the first thing that we had ever released too. Like, I don't regret any of the EPs that we did, but it was just like, I don't know. There was something very like, this is Idle Threat, like when you hear Blurred Visions is like, this is, we're here, So that was a very like, fulfilling moment, I guess, when we finally put that record out.
Yeah. You mentioned obviously writing some of it in the studio. Did that bring a lot of pressure to you, kind of having to kind of work under the gun, if you will, or did it make you shine? What are your thoughts on that?
I definitely have mixed feelings, for sure. I like being prepared for things. I'm a textbook like overthinker. So knowing what I'm getting into is always ideal, but
Sure.
Working with Brett made it a lot easier, I think, because he has a drummer's brain. So it was nice to be able to be like, fleshing out my parts and stuff that time around. I still think the easiest process I think I've been a part of was working with Brett, for sure. And he challenged me for sure, but it just, it was just, like I said, it's just different. But I don't know, like we change the percentage every time we talk about this, but it's like we went into Blurred Visions knowing like 60% of the song structure, like, so we went in being like, all right, give us, help,
Yeah.
And then I know we'll talk about You'll Forget the Sun in a minute, but it's, we were definitely more prepared this time around. But then received even more help. Like it, yeah. But that whole process, we had done a lot of like getting together and like jamming and just, kind of fumbling through stuff and ideas, and took a bunch of stuff to the studio and just kind of worked it all out. And I'm still proud of the end product. Like it's still a big piece of like Idle Threat history.
Sure.
But I just, again, like you wish you could go back and fix some stuff or change some things or do this there and that there, and, but you can't. And that's okay.
It is what it is.
Like,
yeah.
Like art is art.
Was Tooth and Nail stoked on it? I know you can't speak for them, but did they seem stoked on it?
Sure hope so. Like
they'll let you put another record out.
Yeah. It's funny. I think I might be quoting one of your former episodes, but it was like, what is it? It's like business guys get stoked when they make money or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's, they helped us put the record out. That was great. Like, we're very proud to work with them. I hope they like it,
Sure.
But I feel that way about everybody who works with us or listens to us or whatever. It's just like, I hope you find something within this that you connect with.
Absolutely.
If you don't like this song, I hope you like the next one. And if you don't like any of them, that's cool. Like,
yeah. No, I get that. Hey, this is Jeremy from the Rumors Are True podcast. Hang right there. Here's a word from our sponsors. Did you guys hit the road touring for this at all? And if so, who was it with? What was the touring like?
Man, we did a lot of touring back in the day.
So not as much after this.
Not as much as not as much as we used to. But we toured with a lot of pals back in the day. So around like the Blurred Visions time, we did 2 like quote unquote release tours with just pals. And those are some of the best like times I've had in my life. So the first time around we went out with a band called Roy Sullivan. They were a band called West Means Home from Alabama, and they had kind of rebranded at the time. And they're just, straight up rock bands, like just good dudes we had come up with and like, played a bunch of shows with.
Sure.
My like main tattoo artist is their like, songwriter and guitar player. His name's Austin. Love him to death. Like we go way back. And then Meadows, that's on Face Down.
Great
We're
band.
still tight with them. Like I love those guys to death. We'll do more tours with them. But that was the first time we went out on Blurred Visions, and it was just an absolute blast. Like having all the friends like hanging out every night, like cheering each other on, and like just good tunes, good hangs all around.
Going down, yeah.
And then the second part of that release tour, we did fellow label mates Make Sure, and like his band, and our other friends from Nashville called Distins. It was kind of a noise band. And again, it was just a bunch of friends. Like we just hit the road for like a week or whatever, and just played a bunch of cities with, good tunes and good dudes. Like it just couldn't complain at all.
Yeah.
And then we kind of just grew from there. We ended up doing like different legs of tours with Emery and the Almost and Norma Jean.
Yeah.
We did Furnace Fest, like I guess technically
twice. I was gonna say twice, yeah.
Shows, so like I always say 3 times, technically twice. Yeah. We were there 3 years. But we did the Furnace Fest thing, and those are still some of my favorite shows.
What was that like? Yeah. What was that like getting included in that?
Dude, it was crazy. Like the first year we played, we actually played the main stage, which was really weird.
I think I saw you guys that year. It was pretty early on sick. Too. Yeah. I was watching.
It was a lot of fun. It was funny because like I've always joked I've never been nervous for a show. Like but like it was like, oh, we're playing a main stage. That's a little weird. Like we're not a big band. Like I think we were like the 3rd band on that day though. But I remember like while I was setting up, I think it was like Anti-Flag was playing after us, and like those dudes are over here, and you see like, trailers for like these like Mastodon was there that year. So I'm like, those dudes are just like hanging out over here, and I was like, dude, I feel like I had the worst imposter syndrome. I was like, I shouldn't be here. Like, I'm like moving gear, and like the dudes from Impending Doom are walking by, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I've been watching you guys since I was like 12, like it was such a like crazy thing just to be at that festival. And I mean, like we've had another couple moments like that too. Like we played, Hawthorne Heights has, the Is for Lovers. Festival.
Yeah.
We played the Tennessee one. That same thing. It was just like, I'm setting up and like, here are the Hawthorne Heights guys and like, Under Oath and all this stuff. And it's just like, dude, this is wild. So weird. Like, but yeah, I just, Furnace Fest it has such a special place in my heart now. Like, the years that we aren't playing, like I've still been going. And like, a lot of my friends like work it and stuff like that, but it's just like, such a special place. And they've really cultivated a very loving and supportive community. Sure. So any year that they do it, I'm going to try to be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I can't wait for this year too. Like it's
bang your head, dude. Bang your head.
I'm really excited. I'm definitely going Sunday. So
that day looks nuts.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, You'll Forget the Sun, man. Just came out recently. I'm bonkers for this record. It reminds me a lot of, I don't want to say this bad, but I could hear some 90s post-hardcore, some 90s emo in it, for sure. And of course, a lot of the bands you mentioned, the melodies in it are ridiculous. Love it. Absolutely love it. And you worked with our mutual friend, Stephen Keach, on it. Kind of bring me through recording this record, your thoughts, memories, and recording this. And
so we definitely took our sweet time to put this one together, and there's some pros and cons to that, but like basically we had come off of Labeled Fest and Furnace Fest and all that, and just some priorities shifted in our personal lives and stuff, and we just kind of like took a little bit of a step back and started writing this record. And most all of this came together pretty meticulously. We did a lot of like remote work, like a lot of one of my favorite things to talk about is like in our text thread and, in the, stringed like text thread or whatever, they would send each other videos, and always joke about like anytime you send like an idea, you have to like pop your shirt off, because a lot of those like guitar playthrough videos with their ideas, they would just be shirtless. So a lot of ideas sent back and forth like through phone and like, you know, little demos and stuff like that. Like on my ends, like we would get together some days for like demoing and stuff, and we used like an electronic drum set, which I absolutely hate. Like I absolutely hate.
I do too.
Electronic anything. Like I'm pretty like against the grain with all that stuff. So I call it the Wii Rock Band kit. So anytime we would get together for a demo day, I'd be like, are we using the Wii Rock Band kit, or are we just like programming some of this stuff? And we just like lay down like skeleton tracks and like, you know, just, you know, hit on the 2 and 4 here, you know, that kind of thing. No fills, nothing like that, but tossed ideas back and forth and had a bunch of stuff come together. We had to kind of, you know, go through a lot of discourse on who we were going to record with, and, you know, talk to the label about like what our budget and stuff was, and like, you know, trying to cross all the T's and dot the lowercase J's. And basically what happened was we were like, hey, what about Stephen Keach? Pretty sure he had messaged Ernie like a little earlier or whatever, and we were just like, let's circle back and just see what he's doing, you know. And thank God that happened, because it was a match made in heaven, at least on our end. He might hate our guts or something.
No, he said he had nothing but good things to say about you when I was talking to him the other day.
I love him so much, and like he made Idle Threat. Like I could not ask for a better producer. And if we, you know, if and when we do more records, like I want to work with Keach. I know my bandmates want to work with Keach. I hope he wants to work with us again, because it was like having another member like just join our bands and just make everybody better. And like getting into the studio with him was like, I don't love recording, but like I remember the first day we like load in and stuff like that, and like we're getting ready to like track drums, and I remember he like asked, he's like, are you nervous or anything? I was like, I mean, not really, but also like, you know, here we go, you know.
Sure. And
Keach was so receptive to ideas, but also was really good at just challenging me. And a lot of that with our music is actually being okay with like doing less, you know? And this is the first time I think, making a record where like either Keach or a bandmate would be like, hey, play less here, or do this, or try this, or whatever. And I was, and maybe it's maturity, I don't know, but like, I would just like hear, you know, okay, let's do that. Let's try this. Let's do this. Let's scrap this part and do something else. And it just kind of worked out really well. And we had to trust a lot of the process with Keach. But also like, I just leaned into it. Like I just trust the guy. It's like the dude knows what he's doing. Haste Today is, you know, a very influential band, at least to a couple members of our group. And like, I don't know. We just, like I said, we just had a lot of faith in Keach, and he took us and molded us. Like each and every member, like each and every like vein of this record. Like, I mean, he lent his voice on in tandem. He did some like, you know, pad synth stuff. Like he did some weird like percussion, I guess, like tracks and all this kind of thing. And it just, I know it's the cliche thing, but he made this record better than we ever imagined, you know, like it was going into it. It was just like, okay, we have more material, like take this and run with it. And he just made it better. And I'm still like, I'll sit and like be listening to tracks to like practice to or something. And I was like, man, like we really did this. Like, and there's so still cool moments just like hitting me where I'm like, dude, Keach went off right here. Or like parts of like Zeke singing on this record. It's just like Zeke really showed his cojones right here. But I know that was Keach like pushing him to like, you know, yell or whatever. And it's just, I don't know. He got the best out of everybody. I really do believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, the thought, obviously it sounds like it turned out the way you guys wanted and better, but yeah, just your thoughts, on that. And of course, hearing it for the first time when it was completely finished. Yeah. Did it scramble your brain? What happened?
So I've gotten to where, like, whenever we do music, I try to stay out of like a lot, even like mixing notes and stuff. This time around, I like on the back end, I got a little more involved, where it was like, hey, I hear this little like weird like clip here, or hey, this guitar part's a little too loud, or the vocals are a little too like low here, whatever. I tried to stay out of that. This time around was a little more involved. All of us were a little more involved. But I remember like getting the masters back, and I call it the car test. Like a lot of people do the car test, where it's like, you put your record on in your car and drive around, and it hit me like a wall. It was just like, man, we really did this. And then something different that I didn't really have from records or EPs or whatever before was, I can pinpoint on other songs like, oh man, I don't like this part. I don't, we should have changed this, whatever. And I'm sure that's coming eventually from this record. But as of right now, there's really not anything that I'm like, I wish we had done something else there. Like,
Yeah.
There's parts that I still like kind of question, but it's like right now, I think unanimously, all of us were just stoked on that final product. And we're very proud of it. Like, and
should be,
we want to get it out into people's ears. And then eventually, like when we have like the vinyl and stuff, like we want to get it in your hands. Like, we're really pushing this thing,
Yeah.
We're just very proud of this, and this record like means a lot to us too. So
as it should. Yeah, you guys crushed it. Keach crushed it. Man, it sounds incredible. It looks incredible. I mean, the whole package it just sounds and looks amazing. What are Tooth and Nail's thoughts so far? I mean, do they seem obviously stoked on it when they heard it?
Again, I hope they like it.
Well, I know one of them. I know I was texting with Jim Worthen at Tooth and Nail, and I was like, dude, this Idle Throat record's insane, and he's like, I know, it's incredible, and so
I love to hear that.
Yeah, he absolutely was stoked on it, and yeah, man, I just recently is kind of when I heard one of the songs and I was like, what? Like I couldn't get my head around it. It sounded so good. And, I've delved myself into the record and I was like, oh my gosh, I totally missed out on this band. It was kind of one of those things where
we hear that a lot.
But I mean, like, there's so many bands nowadays, and it's hard to kind of keep up. And I had seen you guys at Furnace Fest and I liked what I heard, but it's like kind of, you get in the rhythm and, I still listen to Radiohead regularly and The Cure and all that. So it's hard to kind of listen to newer stuff, but man, I was floored when I heard this record. And so, yeah, that's why I was like, man, I've got to have Justin on at some point. So yeah, dude, what is shows coming up, touring, anything like that? I know it sounds like you can't tour much, but what does the future look like tour wise or show wise for this record?
Yeah. So we're open. I mean, I don't know when this will release or anything, but we're headed out, on at least part one of like a release tour. We're playing some shows with our friends in The Undertaking, and our friends Maywin. So playing like 5 or 6 shows there, just kind of around the Southeast. Actually, we're going more west. It's not really even the Southeast. But we're looking at some other stuff later in the year. I know we're playing with Maylene, the Sons of Disaster, right around the 4th of July. We're having like a big showdown there with like, barbecue trucks and a hot dog eating contest.
Where's that at?
That's at Work Play.
Oh, in Alabama. I got you.
Yeah. So that'll be amazing. Like I love Maylene. Like we got some other stuff like coming down the pipeline, so it's, we're free agents. we're looking around for the right opportunity, you know?
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to take us out and have a good time, we're all ears, you know, and if it aligns, you know, we're down.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, you should be proud of this record and this opportunity that, you know, in the future holds for you guys. Definitely feel like it's going to be awesome for you guys. Just being on the road, play this record, kind of just get it out to the masses. Let me ask you this. I'm just going to guess that's your favorite record you've been a part of. I'm going to probably call that one, but I'm just curious. Bring maybe two, three songs that you're most proud of.
So I think like my favorite song off of the new record is actually Lilies and Sparrows. And I know it kind of opens with like a little bit of like a quote unquote like faster part or whatever for us. But there's just something about the dynamics in that song that just really resonate with me. And like there's even like a big worshipy part at the end of the song, which like is kind of just against what I usually like. Like I don't really like worship music. But there's just like, you know, going from this opening of like the da 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 da, you know, into like these like, you know, pop punky beats and then like a big like build at the end that's just nice, like, you know, almost soft part. I don't know. It's just, and then a lot of the lyrical content, like I can tie that a lot of that stuff in to just, you know, books I've read recently and like, you know, my own like, I don't know, like my faith journey and stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, that's the quick answer for number one. And then truthfully, I'll do a tie for number two to cheat a little bit, throw a little extra there. But I know we talked about Driftwood and Blurred Visions. It has Corey on it.
Yeah.
So that meant a lot to me. Just making that happen was a really, really cool thing, meant a lot. And we've only ever played that live once where he actually did his part. And there's no footage of it.
What? Where was this at?
That's something I'll remember forever. I believe it was in like, oh gosh, I'm gonna get this wrong.
Is it Nashville?
I remember the venue. I think it was in St. Louis.
Wow.
I think I'm wrong though. That's so bad that I don't remember. Anyway, that stinks that I don't remember that. But yeah,
dude,
like,
that's why there's no footage.
Anyway, like it's so crazy. But that's number two, tied for number two, and then probably With or Without, because of the Garrett Russell feature. Silent Planet's also one of my very favorite bands.
Great band.
And that song's just like, you know, the subject matter is very heavy too. So it's, you know, very special to my bandmates. And like I don't know, we do this thing where we like to take very heavy topics and then just try to make it somewhat hopeful.
Sure.
And having Garrett come lend his voice on that one was really cool, because I remember I wasn't in the studio when he tracked it, but I remember I got a text video from Keach of just like, you know, you could see the little stems or whatever, but it was Garrett's voice, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is, and I knew it was going to happen. Like I knew we had facilitated all this stuff. Like, you know, Keach and Garrett are friends, so it was an easy get. But like, I remember getting that text message, and I was with my lady at the time, and I was just like, hey, like, you gotta like check this out. She was like, what, is everything okay? And I like played it. She was like, is that the dude from Silent Planet? And I was like, yeah. She's like, is that one of y'all's songs? So I was like, yeah. And she's like, holy shit. I was like, yeah, that's the only like proper reaction to this.
Absolutely.
So yeah, those for sure. And it's really, you know, I love most all of our songs like it. And it's just, you know, each of them have pieces of them that are, you know, beautiful in their own right, you know?
Absolutely.
And I think every artist probably says stuff like that, but I don't know, like if anybody listens to this and hasn't heard us or whatever before, for whatever my opinion's worth, I'm just the guy that hits stuff. But like, if you're gonna start somewhere, I would start with Lilies and Sparrows off the new record. But
yeah,
if you go back in time, check out Driftwood. If you're into the soft stuff, we have Simon on Blurred Visions. We have Sequoia on the new one.
Such a good song.
We have heavier songs too. We have breakdowns. We'll get you some Kleenex for the sadder songs. Whatever you need. We're here for you.
That's awesome, Justin. I appreciate you opening up about your jams. I know you can't predict the future, Justin. What does the future look like for you?
Man, I don't know. But I just, I know that, I don't know, like being kind of on the spot. It's like personally, like I'm just kind of coasting right now. Like eventually I want to get back into like teaching. I've always talked about being a guidance counselor. My educational background is actually in psychology.
Oh, cool.
So like I'll do that eventually, but right now just kind of taking it easy. But with music stuff, we'll probably start writing another record here fairly soon. Hopefully we're going to be playing some more shows, but the Lord works in mysterious ways.
It's true.
So does the world. So like, I just hope that I'm happy, whatever, wherever the wind may blow,
Sure.
So,
dude, that's awesome. Yeah, man. Absolutely. Justin, super enjoyed this conversation, man. I really was looking forward to hearing your journey, and really stoked for what you personally and what your band has in the future. Again, absolutely love this record. It's incredible. You guys should be super proud of it. Hey, listener, thank you so much for tuning in again and again, week in and week out. I really, really appreciate it. Super honored to be on this journey with you guys, so thank you so much for that. If you'd like to add me on Instagram and Facebook at The Rumors Are True Cast. If you'd like to like and subscribe, you know the drill. I also have a website, www.therumorsartruecast.com, which has all the episodes as well as links if you're interested in looking into that. So thank you again for listening. Thank you to Justin Jones. Awesome conversation. Super stoked to hear your journey. Super stoked to hear all of what you've got going on in your life currently. So thank you again to Justin Jones. Got some incredible artists on the horizon, guys, and you know it. Nostalgia is still a heck of a drug. The podcast is produced by Wesley Hill, artwork by Jared Chase Bowser, and music by Brian Jaron. This episode is dedicated to the memory of my dear friend, producer, and man of many talents, Brian Jaron.
Hey, this is Eric Hutchinson. I've joined the Pantheon podcast family, and I hope you'll come check out my new podcast, Songversations with Eric Hutchinson. Each week, we find out what music matters most to the people who define our cultures. I interview famous guests like actors, musicians, comedians, politicians, and everyone in between. We listen to music together, and we talk about the soundtrack of our lives. It's funny, insightful, revealing, and it's a great way to discover new music. So come check me out, Songversations with Eric Hutchinson, wherever you get your podcasts.